Sometimes people fall into the trap of thinking that holiness is about doing something extraordinary. But most of the time, holiness is just about doing the ordinary things of everyday life really well. People used to ask Mother Teresa for advice, asking her what they should do with their lives, and she would tell them, do something beautiful for God. When Mother Teresa became a nun, she chose her name because she had been influenced and inspired by Saint Teresa of Lisieux, a 19th century Carmelite nun. Saint Teresa was famous for what she called the little way. The little way suggests that we can all grow in holiness just by doing the ordinary things of everyday life and doing them well. For example, Teresa wrote that simply picking something off the ground when it was inconvenient or when you would rather not do something and offering that small action to God could help you to grow in holiness. In the same way, giving your full attention to the person you are with rather than texting somebody else is a way to grow in holiness. As is doing your chores without being asked, or doing your brother's or sister's chores because you know they're having a tough day. The little way is everywhere. Holiness doesn't necessarily mean doing extraordinary things. God invites us to do the little things of everyday life with great love. When is the last time you did something with great love? Seriously, think about it. When is the last time you did something with great love? And even when holiness does involve something extraordinary, that extraordinary thing usually comes as the culmination of 1,000 small things done with great love. Once we discover the little way, we begin to recognize that opportunities to grow in holiness are everywhere. Everything that happens every day is an opportunity to grow in holiness. The way we interact with people, the way we work, the way we study, the way we use our free time are all opportunities to grow in holiness. Have you ever known someone who was holy? Who's the holiest person you've ever met? The man who encouraged me to pray for 10 minutes a day? He was a holy man. I first met him when I was about 15 years old, and I've never forgotten the things he's taught me about life. He gave me dozens of insights, but what he taught me about work and study, I've used every day. When you study, he said to me, put the initials of someone at the top of each page of notes or at the top of each page you read in a book. Then, in a very short prayer, offer the work on that page to God as a prayer for that person. Perhaps your dad is having a hard time at work, or your grandmother is sick, or maybe you have a friend or a sibling who needs your prayers. Place their initials at the top of a page and offer the work on that page to God as a prayer for that person. In this way, we can transform every hour of study into an hour of prayer. At the time, I had a job after school working at a pharmacy. I used to ride around on my bike delivering packages to the elderly. He taught me the same thing about my work. Back then, I had a watch that would chime on the hour. He said to me, each time your watch chimes, offer the next hour of your work to God as a prayer for a particular person or a particular intention. In this way, we transform every hour of work into an hour of prayer. St. Paul wrote, pray without ceasing. But we can't just all go down to church and pray all day long. So what did Paul mean? What was he trying to say to us? He was encouraging us to transform everything we do into prayer. You see, everything is an opportunity to grow in holiness. One thing that is beautifully unique about Christianity is our belief that suffering has value. Life is difficult. Life is wonderful and beautiful, but it's also difficult. And suffering is an inevitable part of life. The question is not, are you going to suffer or aren't you going to suffer? There's going to be suffering in your life. And so the question is, how are you going to respond to suffering? Even suffering is an opportunity to grow in holiness. Jesus said, if anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. I visited with a good friend of mine last week. He's an old priest and he's been in horrific pain for months with back problems. When I visited, he told me he has been sitting in this chair for 23 hours a day for more than a week while he's been waiting to have an operation. He smiled this huge smile and he said, but I'm not wasting any of my suffering. I'm offering it all to God as a prayer for all the young people who will experience your confirmation program. How cool is that? He is offering His suffering as a prayer for you. We all have our crosses to carry. What cross are you carrying right now? And are you trying to carry it alone? Or are you letting Jesus help you? He wants to help you. And as you carry your cross, are you offering your suffering up to God as a prayer? Each Sunday at Mass, as the offertory gifts are being brought up, I place any sufferings or challenges I have in my life on the altar. I want them to be transformed. I give them to God. I offer them up. I also place my marriage on the altar, and I place my children on the altar. I place my health and my money and my work and my things. I place everything up there on the altar, my whole life and my whole self. I offer it all up to God so that He can transform me. Everything is an opportunity to grow in holiness. I hope this session will help you to recognize those opportunities in your daily life. Let's face it, the church needs a whole new generation of people committed to living holy lives.